we need love. Without love, we will self-destroy. So we have solved the problem of production. We can give to everybody in abundance. We haven't solved the problem of distribution. And for that, we need love.
Hello all, my name is Sylvain Rochon. I'm the Paradise Engineer, and I'm here with 4 guests, Sergey, Jarel, Sherman, and Victor. I'll introduce you to them in a minute. But we're all here to talk about the global crisis, and there are many global crises, but also talk about, and mostly, about the solutions. What are we going to do about the crisis we're living in? And we'll have a roundtable and some presentations. That'll be great. Every one of the members here that will be speaking are leaders in their own rights within their own organizations or as leaders of organizations that are international or well-known or growing, that think about the crisis and that think about positive solutions that will help the world become a better, safer. But there's a huge challenge in front of us. There are arguably 3 major crises going on, and there's a lot more we can talk about. But one of them is technological. Another one is environmental, and a third one is human governance or military. Like, we can think about in different ways. But let's start with the latter, with the potential of self-destruction, basically. Like, as a society, we've been afraid of nuclear weapons for a long, long time, since the Cold War. And the threat still exists. There's several countries that have enough nukes to blow up the whole planet. And there's always a risk. Even recently, there was a risk of a nuclear destruction in China and the States and perhaps other countries, because the weapons are there and the mistakes can be made, or bad decisions can be done. But I want to go beyond that. Nuclear weapons are indeed very dangerous and obviously are destructive. But we're grown in technology. We're able to use nanobots, or to engineer viruses, to engineer all sorts of AI-empowered drones with small explosives, for example, that can target specific populations that without hurting the infrastructure. We've come a long way in our means to destroy ourselves. It's not only the nukes. And so we need to think about how can we protect ourselves from these dangers that are basically governance and military based. So we're going to be talking about some of that. Environmental issues are pretty massive because it encompasses, well, guess what? The whole planet. Because the environment is everywhere. We breathe the same air, we drink the same water, the planet arguably is heating up for various reasons, and that causes bigger storms, more volcanic activity, and there's some issues surrounding the environment that are pretty massive. Over farming, overpopulation, and we don't really seem to be taking care of that very effectively. And this is our home, the blue planet that we are all living on. It's a spaceship and it's self-contained. So what are we going to do about that? How are we going to resolve these issues, taking care of the environment much better, to save it and to save ourselves at the same time? And lastly, the technological crisis is, in a way, is a positive one, but in another way, is very disruptive. Like, we're developing AI and advanced technologies that are breaking the systems that are currently in place and causes a lot of suffering and pain, not through intentional disruptions, but just because we have to shift to something different, and it doesn't really fit with where we're going. Doesn't really fit with how our systems function or have been functioning for hundreds of years. And so we need to apply some thought and engineering into redesigning that to resolve the crisis surrounding income, resource management, who gets to eat, who doesn't, these kind of things. So we want to talk about the solutions to all this, because that's really, really important, to be aware of the problems and the crisis that's around. But that's not an action point. That's not something that forces us to do something. It's just like maybe an impetus to act. What we want to focus on is the solutions. How can we get ourselves out of the crisis and into something that is, nicer? Arguably, we probably have just a few percentile points chance of survival as a civilization. So we have to think about activity and actually putting up some actions that will allow us to get out of it. So I want to start with one of our guests. Jarel is the leading advocate of Paradism, paradism.org. You can check it out. And he has been for many years. I'm going to let you, Jarel, speak of yourself and your organization. And Paradism is, in fact, offering some solutions, or at least a vision of the future that is interesting. So, Jarel, why don't you tell us about the Paradism and your thoughts about solutions?
Yes, first we need to understand this global crisis, what it is. And it is actually more than a crisis. It's a systemic revolution. And it's very good, because we will reach a new level of civilizations. We have had 3 levels of civilization so far. We started as the original society, original civilization with tribalism. We were hunter-gatherers and nomads. And then we grew as a group. It was more difficult to move around and to find food. So we had to domesticate animals, domesticate plants. And we discovered agriculture, how to work the land. And that was another revolution, another systemic revolution. And we created a new civilization, the agrarian civilization, where we had to work the land, and there was a warlord protecting us, the field. So we developed a new system, feudalism. And it lasted several hundred years until we discover a new mode of production that revolutionized the way we do things. And that was the Industrial Revolution, with the arrival of the machine. It transformed society. The old society collapsed. We moved from the land and the little town to the cities, and where we work in factories. So we have to transform society. Economically, politically, socially, it changes everything. When we change our mode of production, we have seen it from tribalism to feudalism. We've seen it again from feudalism to capitalism, the system of society for the Industrial Revolution. We change everything: a new elite, a new political, a new economical system, a new way to organize society, even a new spirituality. And now we are living a very important moment in the evolution or in the development of humanity. We are living another systemic revolution that will bring about a new level of civilization. And this revolution, revolution is brought about by the smart machines, artificial intelligence, robots that will transform the way we produce what we need, or mode of production. So we won't have to work. And everything now is organized around working, our incomes, the wealth distribution, it's all organized about to work. If we have now machine replacing human beings, machines will become smarter than us. So why continue to work if the machine can do a better work than we do? So that's what's happening with the AI. It's taking over our jobs. We have automations going everywhere, and now we collapse the system economically, socially, politically, and we are in between. We are in a transition towards the new system. What is this new system? We are going to this new level of civilization. It will be a society where there will be no work, and if we don't work, we don't need money. Everything will be made by robots and produced abundantly, so we will have a society of abundance. And the people will do only what they enjoy doing. So the name for this society, we already know, it's a paradise. It's how we imagine a paradise, where we only do what we enjoy doing, and we are served by robots, AI, who do everything we don't want to do. So this a paradise as a system of society that is very specific, and we can call it paradism. Paradism, the system of society of a paradise, how it is organized, we can discuss about it. But this is where we are going. We are transitioning to a higher level of civilization, where we can live in a fantastic world. So now what we have to do is to paradise the world, to go from a society that is based on labor, a labor society, to a leisure society. And to paradise the world, what does it mean? Is to first unify the world. We need to create a planetary civilization, a global civilization, a peaceful civilization. So we need to demilitarize. We need to create a world government, a world currency, and to unite all the parts of the world, and create this peaceful planetary civilization. Unify, leisureize. We need to transform our society, our town, where we don't have to work in factories, so we can put our factories underground. The machines will do the work underground, and we can change and move away in beautiful places and cities. So we don't have to work more, we have to work less. Actually, we don't want more work, we want more freedom. So we need to free the people from having to work, so that they can do the activities they want to do, activities where they can blossom. Not everybody is blossoming in working. Those who want to work will continue to work. If they want, it will be their freedom, but there will be no money. So they will work, but offering their work for free. People will do their creation, the artists, the engineers, and the inventors will continue to do what they enjoy doing, but they will offer it for free in this new society, in this paradise society. So we need to leisureize the society and also beautify the world. So paradise the world means unify the world, leisureize the world, and beautify the world. We want to live in a beautiful environment, restore the paradise, the original garden we used to live in, because we are made to live, surround ourselves with beauty, because we feel good when we are in a beautiful and supportive environment. So we need to transform our cities and more make them look like a park, and completely integrate our city into nature. And as I said, move all the industrial and the production places underground with machines, and we can now create a beautiful world that will support the blossoming of human being. So that's what paradism is about, is to create this new society that will resemble the paradise we have all imagined in the past.
Wonderful, Jean. Thank you. Now let's hear from Sherman Chin. Sherman Chin is the operations officer at the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact. Now, Sherman, off to you. What do you think?
Hi. So as Sylvain mentioned, I'm the operations manager at the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact. That's quite a mouthful, but basically what I'm doing at the AEDC is welcoming aliens, okay, put it in simplified terms, but how is it applicable to solving the global crisis on Earth? And continuing where Gerald left off, it's more of a psychological answer or more of a philosophical answer right now, because I think on Earth, the problem is that we are very polarized right now. People are not agreeing with each other, and I think that's perfectly fine. Now, what's not fine is that we are not accepting other people's views. Now, imagine if we were to welcome aliens from other planets and we are not united, would they actually come? Because for a civilization to be so advanced, they actually have to have surpassed certain challenges in the progression of civilization, as Gerald mentioned. So we have to get to a stage where we are more of a civilization that is cooperative with each other, that is more aligned with each other. But that doesn't mean that we always agree with each other, but it means that we must accept that we have different views, because humans have different views, and I'm sure aliens have different views. So when we talk about that, I think when we talk about global crisis, the first thing we have to do is a change of mindset, right? A change of mindset means we have to change our philosophies and how we approach other people or even other beings. So I'm not a person who will tell you to believe in aliens or extraterrestrials. I'm actually quite a realistic person. I believe that the alliance is necessary because it's something like if you've watched this science fiction called Star Trek on TV, you realize that the future needs to depend on a society that is quite utopian, right? By utopian, I mean a society that's willing to accept differences, and a society that's willing to accept like consciousness, that is the ability to be aware of this universe itself. So let's say we encounter aliens, okay? Again, you don't have to believe in the concept of aliens, but bear in mind, there are billions of habitable planets in this universe. So think of the possibility that we are just a grain of sand on the beach. So there's like billions and trillions actually of galaxies out there. So the possibility of us being the only consciousness or the only awareness of this universe is such a waste. So if there are, I'm saying if there are other alien races or the extraterrestrials or other life forms that exist out there, can we accept them if we cannot even accept ourselves, right? So we need to be able to start from the human race first. And I believe by doing so, we solve our own global crisis. And by solving our own global crisis, then we can be accepted to the federation, or let's say our alliance of different extraterrestrials, if they exist. And if not, then we would be accepted into the different multitudes of thinking on Earth itself. So if you think about it right now, there's so much polarization going on. There's so much ways of, people not agreeing with each other and attempting to go to war. But how do we actually transition to the stage where we understand people? Now, I myself have been a game developer. I work as a game developer, and I realized that when you work in a team, because when you're working in a team to develop a game, it's like developing a movie. So there are many, many different skill sets. There are people who are programmers, there are people who are artists, there are people who are sound engineers, there are designers, script writers. So there are very different ways of thinking. And again, when you develop the games, there are different types of games. There are mobile games, there are PC games, and people have different ways of thinking. But how do you get these people to work together? So first of all, you need to get a group of people who agree with each other, so that there's not so much infighting going on. So in a way, we have to give people the freedom of movement to have different groups that they can work together and be creative. So I think what we need here is creativity to solve problems and to produce productive objects or productive things in this universe. So when I talk about that, it goes back to what Gerald said about artificial intelligence. We have come to a stage where artificial intelligence have progressed. Artificial intelligence has progressed so much that it's able to provide us with a lot of resources that previously, during the ancient civilizations, we need a lot of people to do. So let's say throughout the progression of society itself, we reach a stage where, we need farming, agriculture, we need construction. So we need a lot of people at that time, right? But because of that, it has created a segregation in society which exists to today. And that is the society that's based on consumerism, or consumer-oriented society. And that means it's like capitalism, where we do use money to trade and then to create things. But it also means that a group of people have risen in power, right? They are like the governments of today, which have become quite separated from the people, or they don't understand that, it's not that they don't understand, it's just that they represent people, but not everybody has the same view. So it goes back to my initial talk of acceptance, because different people have different views, right? But when the majority of people are manipulated by the government to believe in certain things, then we tend to, be like sheep, right? But the problem is a lot of people are unhappy, or the system itself is not very fair, because people who are in power want to remain in power and try to influence others to believe in whatever they say, whether it's for their own good or not. But it's always for the good of the people in power to remain in power. And now that is a problem, because it does not give us the opportunity to solve the global crisis in a very creative manner, because we are not allowed to use our creativity. So back to game development again, when we are not given the ability to solve something creatively, we are not given the ability to create a game creatively, the product, which is the game itself, comes out as a game that is not very entertaining. It's just like a movie, right? If it's just made for the sake of making money, it's not very entertaining. In fact, it just tries to appeal to the masses to make money, but it does not really make us think and to solve problems. And that translates to society itself. So if we were to solve this problem of the global crisis of the earth, having all this multitude of problems, then we have to be able to organize people in such a way that smaller groups of people are able to solve problems, and they are mobile, meaning that people can move within these groups. So what that actually means is that we're actually returning to the tribal system. So as Gerald mentioned, we started out with the tribal system, but we actually are progressing again back towards the tribal system. Now, why is that so? Because right now, with artificial intelligence, we're able to use the resources to not focus so much on work, right? So we are heading towards a society where we can be, what should I say? We can actually follow our passions and be creative, because artificial intelligence allow resources to be allocated to us without us working to survive. Instead, we are working to be creative, right? Or working for our passions. Why? Because artificial intelligence is more effective in actually gathering the resources for us to survive. So if we allow artificial intelligence to be able to gather those resources for us to survive, then we can just focus on being creative and accepting each other. Now, for that to happen, you have to realize that we have to work in such a way that we are very modular and we become tribes. Because with this tribal system, we understand each and every one of our little tribe. So there are not too many people. And when we understand each other, then we understand that we have to take into account the perspective of those around us. So I think that if we move towards this system, then we are able to solve a lot of the global crisis that that's happening today. And I think that is one of the major things that we have to accept as a human society before we can accept extraterrestrials. Because imagine if we ourselves are extraterrestrials and we go to space and we encounter a planet where people are fighting with each other or the aliens are fighting with each other, will we actually present ourselves to them? So I think you can answer that for yourself. We don't want to present ourselves to a not united alien civilization. And that is, I guess that's the answer why the alliance exists. And I think I've been talking too long, so I will just end it here. And yeah, back to you, Steven.
Thank you, Sherman. Just a note, the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact, I forgot to mention this, its purpose is to create an environment like a physical embassy, an official embassy, for example, that will allow an ET civilization to come here officially and start diplomatic missions and so on. So this is the mandate of that organization. So thanks a lot, Sherman. I'd like to introduce you all to Victor Lau. He's a former Green Party leader of Saskatchewan, Canada, and a recent federal Green Party candidate as well, invited here to talk about his views surrounding the global crisis and solutions. Victor?
Yeah, it's really exciting to go after these two fellows. I'm really interested in the following debate and discussion that'll happen afterwards. But I guess from our perspective as a representative of the Green Party, we are not only based in Canada, where I currently am living in Saskatchewan, but we are a global movement. And just hearing it's very inspiring to hear the two other gentlemen before me, because I think it encapsulates the vision that the political party, the Green Party, is trying to bring about. And the interesting thing is, it's not from a partisan point of view, because we actually, I think, are evolving, so to speak, to kind of change the regulation and the rules that the governments have put in place. We have rules and regulation that has been designed for an age of scarcity. And anybody that reads the big data that is available publicly, it's no longer an age of scarcity. It's an age of abundance. The problem is the system that we have in place is based on scarcity. So you can see where in the last 20 years, all this extra abundance has been funneled upwards, and it's created great wealth inequality literally everywhere, right? I mean, it doesn't matter, almost any country you pick, there's just massive problems. Even in countries like Northern Europe that have a better system of governance, I would argue, they are experiencing, basically, people rioting, people being upset, still having problems. And so I think what we have to do is build on this global movement. And basically, I think words like why people are having a hard time accepting this change. Jarrell talked about, going from kind of a tribal system all the way up to kind of the current capitalist paradigm, and it has kind of moved humanity forward, but we're kind of I would say we're at a point of birthing a new world, and there's a lot of chaos. And if we can get to the other side without destroying ourselves, I think we may be ready for extraterrestrial visits. But I think Sherman is right that we are too warlike. So the part of the Green Party's vision is one of nonviolence. We have to de-escalate and demilitarize as much as possible, and ideally we need to move toward what people fear. Many people I know I've talked to fear is kind of a world type government. They feel they're giving up our say, from the Canadian perspective, local sovereignty to an unknown kind of entity, right? So we have to build in places, like regulation that fosters consensus, fosters cooperation. Luckily, we have the technology now. We're using it today to we're all based around the world, and yet we're able to come together, online, to be able to do this interview and discussion. And if we take the technology that we have, and instead of using it just to benefit individuals or corporate kind of greed, we need to use that technology to basically create more and more abundance, right? And I think by creating that, we should be able to lower people's insecurity and move toward the world that we want, and leave behind the world that we used to live in. And it's so inspiring to hear the commonalities. I think we need different means to elect governments in the short term. I think we can put in means to allow more citizen participation, so direct citizen involvement through referendums, through voting. It's the governments are so slow to adapt because they're so used to the old way of doing things. But I think as citizens, we need to move that forward as much as possible and build bridges of cooperation. And it's going to take more and more, I guess, coming together of like minds that see this future, and how do we get there in the shortest time possible. And to address one of the bigger ones, the climate crisis, this is the number one issue. We've tried to say that in the recent federal elections in Canada. Unfortunately, people, I think, are still too afraid to take that great leap forward. They luckily returned a minority government that is willing to kind of inch along. But I think the global crisis, in terms of the potential collapse of our environmental ecological kind of sphere, I think will accelerate change, irregardless of who's in there. It's just that it'd be easier if we see the need for the transition and actually work together. And that's what we've tried to do. We don't have all the ideas, but I think by working together, we can bring about the best ideas, how to transition from the past into the future. And I think by 2030 at the latest, I think we'll have our answer. Either it'll be further chaos, or we will be at least on the road toward kind of global stability, global demilitarization. That is my hope. I think it's inspiring. I think there's little breakout areas of hope here and there, but I think if we can see the bigger picture, I think we'll be in a better place. It's very hard. There's a lot of hopelessness out there. In fact, I think it was only about 56% of registered voters in Canada even voted, and I think it's because there's still a lot of division, a lot of arguments, instead of actually building bridges, right? But the good news, if I can offer this, is the climate change issue. Even though it was not spoken directly of, it was always lurking in the background. So these changes that Jarrell and Sherman talk about that are needed and that are coming, it's inevitable. One way or another, we're going to have to deal with these changes. Either it'll lead to something miraculously beautiful, and people will then wonder why we didn't do this sooner, or it'll lead to a lot of division and chaos. And I think it's up to all of us to try and avoid that as much as possible. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Nice of you to chime in from the Green Party perspective. Love it. Our next guest is Sergei Chermonas. He's a volunteer for the International ALLATRA Public Movement. Welcome, Sergei. I think you're going to be talking a little bit about the ALLATRA idea and purpose of making a creative society. So we'd like to hear you about that and anything else you have in your mind.
Thanks, Sylvian. Hi again, everyone. It's been a pleasure to meet you and to hear what you guys saying today. And a pleasant surprise for me that Victor, Jarrell, and Sherman all of you are talking today about unification of people. That's what we need. Unification not by pockets, not by fridges or parties, but despite our differences, unification in one goal that we all should have. And it's really cool to see that people are step by step waking up. They understand all of a sudden that first of all something's going on. Second of all, that this world is not as rock solid or whatever, and it could be changed. It could be improved for better, and it should be improved for better. It's high time to do that. And just a few words I wanted to say. Basically, no matter how we call it, we all understand the concept. We call it creative society. And Jarrell has come up with paradigm name. Victor, you are a member of Green Party. So basically, it's like looking at the diamond from different sides, but basically we are describing the same goal. And Sherman, please remind me, I have a surprise for you. I'll keep it in the end of my speech. So. Just a few words about ALLATRA International Public Movement. Maybe you would not believe, but it all started with only a few people, a few volunteers who started to join back in Ukraine to do something on the local level. They started making like some movements, some small gatherings, and then they came across books of modern writer Anastasia Novych. And in 2012 came out a book called ALLATRA. It's a very interesting book. The author is not a public person, but on the last 100 pages of the book, it was described the model of society that we call now creative society. So they went beyond that and started, since they got inspired, since then the movement got already thousands of volunteers. And what's important just to mention, we are not an NGO, we are not accepting any grants, we are not being funded by anyone. If you look at allatraunites.com website, you will see that we do not run any commercials. Through our conferences, where we get people from 180 countries of the world, we are not putting any marketing, because once you accept money from someone, the conditions will follow. We do not want that. We are completely volunteers who understand that it's no time to leave ourselves and our kids the future. So this is just a few words about the movement. So since then, when the movement started being thousands of people, the volunteers went beyond that. We started doing research. Hey, if it's possible that to build such a society, why we're not living in such a? We started conducting social surveys. Up to now, it's hundreds, thousands of social surveys in 200 countries of the world. Please go ahead to allatraunites.com and have a look for yourself. People in all countries of the world are saying that they want to live peacefully, they want to prosper, they want normal house, car, normal benefits, normal social package. They want to live in a beautiful nature, but for some reason it's not happening. We're having wars, and every year it's getting worse, worse and worse, and now we've come up to a global climate change and basically a dead end of the consumerism society. We've done a research. We've studied all religions of the world and put it into one book called Universal Grain. We took the similarities of all religions and all say about the same thing, about same universal grains. So who is then separating us? Go ahead, you can search the book, also it's called Universal Grain. Now we've started the history of all the civilizations that we could find materials for, including the Atlantis. We've put a lot of that into the book called Atlantis. Why that civilization was so developed and what made it go down the ocean. So please also have a look into that. And now we have literally, I'm not exaggerating, we have millions of people who join. We've recently run around 5 conferences on various topics. We're running scientific research which are called kaleidoscope of facts on different topics about economics, about previous civilizations, about pyramids, about extraterrestrials, about the proof of that. So there is a lot of things that we are doing, and the previous conference that I want to mention, it's called Global Crisis. It already affects everyone. It was in July, and we've done a simultaneous translations by volunteers into 72 languages. I will repeat, 72 languages by volunteers. Sorry to compare, but United Nations, which were supposed to unite all of us, they've done maximum 7. You know why? Money. In today's world, in order to organize something of that scale, you need to be I don't know who. Which again proves that people who are driven by the idea, by really we know that it could be done, we can do anything, and we don't need to sit and wait that someone will come and save us. Sorry to say, guys, but today we've seen many examples when a person, even with good intentions, when he goes to politics, it's almost impossible to change the format we already have. It's impossible for, hundreds of thousands of politicians to change for 8 billions of people who are sitting on the couch and hoping for a miracle. Guys, it's high time for us. If you have a look at the conference on the 24th of July, Global Crisis, like Cillian said, it was discussed the crisis of technologies, the global climate change, and the ecological problems, as well as climate refugees. So we will understand that there is no more time to sit and procrastinate. There is no more time to fight whose god or idol or religion is better. There is no time to decide whose pockets are bigger, whose nose is longer, whose skin is more white, yellow, black. Come on. It's time for us to wake up. What are we being proud of? I'm sorry to say. We're being proud of iPhone 13. At the same time, we have people who don't have drinking water and food. We're being proud that we are spending billions of dollars to go to dead planets. But we don't care about people on this planet who are dying because of disease, because of lack of drinking water, because of lack of normal food. And we call ourselves the highest developed civilization? Seriously? And Sherman reminded me one very interesting joke that was mentioned in one of the conferences. So aliens came to the Earth, and earthly humans seems to be developed. They have technologies. So let's see if we can invite them to join the global community, the universe community. And they started seeing people being poor, homeless, some problems, and they started asking people in various countries, hey guys, what's going on around here? Oh, we don't have money. They go to another country, oh, we don't have enough funds, don't have enough investments, things are being really bad. And then aliens, okay, we can help you out. What is this resource? Where are you getting it? Maybe we can bring for you from other planets. No, we're not getting from other planets, we are printing it. So it's just a paper that we print, and we lack of money. After that, aliens just crossed out the humans from the developed civilizations. So sad to hear, guys, but this is today's reality. And we need to take responsibility for ourselves and for our kids. If we do not do that, the technologies that we are developing at the moment, think about, by anyone, please now ask yourself a question. In today's world, the top value is money and income, whereas in creative society, it should be human life, the top value. So in today's society, The development of AI, sorry to mention Boston Dynamics robots that they are developing. Sorry to mention Elon Musk, who is being such a volunteer to give free internet to everyone in the world. Now, with the development of Google, the commercials that are following and chasing us everywhere. Now, ask yourself a question. Already today, robots are replacing people, and no one gives them other job. Now, ask yourself a question. What expects us? Will we really have other jobs that we will be very creative, or something else might happen? Now, second questions that I want everyone to ask yourselves. Everybody is talking now about global crisis. On the United Nations, they're mentioning as well that things are not very good. Now, go yourself, if you, let's say, don't want to look at the conference, global crisis, make a research yourself. What do you think it leads to when the earthquakes were 4 points? Now it's 5, 6. We are having earthquakes with the 7 magnitude. So where it's leading? Especially when we have on our Earth Yellowstone and Caldera Ira in near Japan. So the next question is ecology. Ask yourself a question. The way we are just consuming, producing plastic waste, we are building mountains of waste. Where it's leading to? It must be, I think, difficult to visualize, right? And in today's world, we have around 85 million of refugees. It's only climate refugees plus war refugees. Have a look in the conference in which conditions they live. So this is the questions that I want everyone to ask. Now, the present that I have for Sherman, we've already established a contact with the Anunnaki. This is one of the races. So you can have a look. Basically, they are already here and they are helping out humans. Actually, they've been always here, but they cannot interfere because we need to, like you said, be developed by ourselves. And the Anunnaki that we've been in contact with, her name is Жанна. You can check, humans also created a TikTok channel called Alien Soul 28. So she can bring her message, and also she is actively participating in the conferences. So this is just a small portion of what you can find in the kaleidoscope of facts about Anunnaki. There are also other civilizations, Igigi, and what's their names? Well, anyways, there are a lot of them. So thank you very much for your attention, and there is much more to come.
Thank you, Sergey. Very good. Now that we have a roundtable of everybody's comments and organization, giving us an idea of mindset and organizations and purpose. I'd like to open this up for about half an hour of discussions. Everybody, all the panelists can answer the questions, and kind of I would invite them all to open their mics when they're ready. And to keep the answers a little short, so that everybody can kind of comment on each other. We want to keep this dynamic and interesting, and I'll be asking some questions, and I'll be directing a little bit so that we go around some of the topics that were mentioned, leading towards the solutions. Right. So now my first question, and I'll direct this first to Jarel, because it's been a while since I've heard you. What do you think we should change about, like right now, about our governance system, how we govern ourselves, to leading towards crisis resolution?
So I know that the future will be self-governance. We are not, we will, with AI, we have now machines that make better decisions than humans in every way. You know, what is an AI? What is intelligence? Intelligence is to answer questions fast with accuracy. So a human being cannot have all the answers, but AI could. With big data, now we know that we can feed the machines with information, and they process the information and make better decisions than us. They can learn better than all the experts combined. So we will, why do we need politicians? Because we will all, AI will make better decisions than us. So we will, in the future, when we'll be ready, we will have an AI who will manage everything. We need to, how many cars we need, we will have self-driving cars, but how many, the food, to organize society, it will be done by the machines. And we just have to supervise the machines. And that will be the future. So there is no future for politicians. There is no future for any jobs, even politicians. And we will be self-governed. We will be like, we are born with free will. We will be like sovereigns and be self-governed and ask the AI to serve us and provide us with an army of robots with everything we need. So that's the future of the organization of society. We won't be governed by a power. We will have the power because we will be the master being served by the machines, by an AI.
Thank you, Jared. I'd like, since this is your area, Victor, since you are a politician in a way, well, as you are, what do you think about this?
Yeah, it's it's the excuse me, it's the ultimate vision. I think we are in alignment because I think a lot of people would love to see, political parties, diminished. I mean, we're seeing more and more minority governments in first past the post. In other countries, there's bigger rising up of new parties that want to challenge the status quo kind of thing, right? So I think Jarell's right. Eventually, we will move toward this. We need to put in the correct regulations. We need to somehow build in compassion, because the fear that some people would have, is seen in the old movie The Terminator, right, where humanity has given the robots the order to protect humanity. And the AI basically says, well, in order to protect humanity, I as the protector of humanity must enslave humanity, right? We must destroy the most warlike ones, the ones that can fight back, and then the rest of them can be caged, right, controlled and dominated. So we have to put in measures that ideally don't well, I mean, otherwise, if AI is allowed to basically decide for itself and not with guidance. And this is why I think we have to go through the stages of evolution, right? We need to remove that insecurity, the fear of the others, right? We need to come together as a world culture rather than as individual cultures. And I think Canada can play a leading role. We've tried to do that within our own country. We have a lot of regional differences right now, but we're trying to get more unity projects, at least those of us that care. Those of us that care about cooperation and collective survival versus, individual wealth and individual attainment. I think this is the problem. I really love the vision that Paradism brings about. I think that's what a lot of us here anyway are striving towards, is trying to convince people that not only is it possible, it should be inevitable, right? If we're not trying to move society and our global world toward a paradise, are we choosing the other road, right? I mean, it makes no sense, right? But I think, having been in politics for over 30 years, there is the conservative nature, and it's not just in the conservative parties. It's in all the parties. There is a conservative element of human nature that doesn't believe certain things are possible, right? Elimination of poverty, elimination of wealth inequality, providing housing for everybody, right? But I think today we can hear from all of us that these things are possible. They're more than possible. The problem is, in a certain way, politicians are in the way. I would argue it's not the politicians necessarily, it's the old system of governance, the old system of regulation. We need to find a way to evolve quickly, right? Somehow make that great leap forward with the least amount of human misery. I think disruption technology is already doing it. I think we just have to guide that along and be very, very cautious of allowing AI to decide for itself. We need to have a human element. The key thing is compassion and concern for others, right? And if we lose that, I worry about what that could mean. But yeah.
Well, thank you, Victor. I'd like to hear from Sergey here, because ALLATRA has a specific plan that involves governance, which how do you get to the creative society that you mentioned, Sergey? So if you can talk about those steps and what ALLATRA's plan specifically, that would be good.
Yeah, thanks, Jarrell and Victor. Everything is pretty simple. We've already discussed this. The key here is unification. So unification should be in the common goal. Now, there are a few stimulus that we have at the moment. First stimulus is to really, for those who understand that there should be a better future for us and our kids. And the second stimulus is climate. So who wants more details, please watch the conference. The scientists explained it pretty well. So how it happens? Now, we have a few steps. Now, I think Victor knows what I'm talking about. We got to form electoral request in order for political parties to catch up, in order for governments, for media, for everyone to see the trend. We need to form the trend. We need to unite, not like I said on our pockets, or we need to enter some political party or wherever. No, just stay where you are with whatever religion you have. Just support the idea. As of now, we are offering our platform ALLATRA Unites to join just as a platform to unify all people, because we are probably one of few, or maybe the only organization that unites now already millions of people who are united in the goal of building a better future for everyone. So this is just the first step of informing people. We're just bringing the message across. Now, people, they have a will and they have a choice. Whatever they wish, whatever they decide, and in case if they support, in case if we do get majority of people in all countries of the world. Now again, we're not urging any revolutions, we're not urging any uprisings, we're not urging any violence. This simply does not work. Not a single revolution historically worked. What works is peaceful involvement. We need evolution, not revolution. So we got to unite. This is what already we're doing, professionals in various fields, and come up with the model that we need to carefully implement to make sure people will not lose their job, will not lose the social benefits. Now the second step will be implementation. So on the second step, if the majority of the countries, let's say 80 or 90% of people support creative society, we can move to the second step, implementation, which could be a political step. Let's say, again, politicians, professionals should form that political party and change the constitution of the countries to implement the 8 foundations of the creative society. I'll just quickly name them. You can check that on the website. Human is the fundamental unit of the society. Humanity is one big family. Number 1, human life, human freedom, human safety, transparency and openness of information for all, creative ideology, development of personality, justice and equality, and self-governing society. Again, we got those of the hundreds of thousands of interviews that we've conducted with people. And the third step is referendum, world referendum. So this is the idea that we came up with, and this is like the solution that we are seeing. But again, in order to come to that, we need to formulate the electoral request. We ourselves need to step up and actively be active in order to form that.
Excellent. Thank you, Sergey. So tangible steps within an organization formed of millions of individuals that want the same thing. That sounds very positive. I'd like to switch gears because something came up in some of our discussions regarding extraterrestrials. And I wonder, as Sergey mentioned, like, okay, Anunnaki are here. Sherman, the AEDC is about welcoming officially and openly, alien civilizations. And I know Jarel also has some ideas about this as well, because me and Jarel, we know each other. And so I'd like to ask the question in particular to you three, but Victor, if you do have opinions, of course, open mic. What would be, or what is the involvement of extraterrestrial civilization that are observing, that are kind of watching and looking at us, as you guys said, like currently thinking, well, they're probably not quite ready, right? But how would they, or could they help us transition towards this better world? So I'd like to go first to Sherman. Your thoughts about that?
I think right now, since a lot of people are not even ready to accept the existence of extraterrestrials, what they can do is more of motivational kind of mindset changing thing, right? So I think even when we watch movies, right, we are inspired by stories about superpowers, about alien life. Even if you watch Marvel movies right now, it's like they talk about aliens as well. Thor is an alien. So there is some influence through entertainment, right? So I come from the entertainment industry, and I think that entertainment or stories itself is what drives human society, and these stories is what helps people to unite. And when we watch stories, we understand that people have different perspectives, right? Each story is a different perspective. But what we have to come to understand is the acceptance of these stories, as I mentioned before. So the existence of aliens, now that we are talking more about them, will help us to understand that there are various existence out there, right? Whether we want to believe in them or not, we can just look around us and also see that there are various perspectives, various consciousness, so to speak. So one day, AI, artificial intelligence, might actually gain awareness, self-awareness, self-consciousness. So what do we actually want to teach them? So I believe that if we are able to address that, which is what do we want to portray to aliens, right? And what do we want to teach to consciousness that are observing us, then we have to project those values. And I think that the aliens, when they do come, it's not just about sharing technology, because if we are not ready for it and we just simply use it to destroy ourselves, it's not a good thing, right? So the thing is, even their existence, their mere existence, or the mere allowance of ourselves to accept the existence of extraterrestrials will help us to better understand ourselves, better understand humanity, to accept the different perspectives, the different views of different groups of people, right? And when that happens, I think that itself is a motivation to achieve that utopian society that we talk about in Star Trek, for example. And in that society, money is not something that we use anymore, right? What we are actually provided for with resources by artificial intelligence through like replicators in Star Trek. But even today, we have like 3D printers to print stuff, so that we are actually progressing towards that society, that utopian society where resources are provided to us, and then we can focus on our own passions. So I think that's where the creativity comes in. So if aliens are really here today, like Sergey just gave me that surprise, then if they are here and they do want to help us, I think it's good that they are able to join us, maybe not so immediately, but through um, even entertainment itself, right? And I guess that's what's happening right now. And if we are able to understand them through like watching them and watching the moral of their stories, right? It's about sharing stories, right? That's what happened even throughout human civilization. We share stories and we learn from them. And I think that's really important. So more and more so right now that we are being able to accept such, superpowers and things that are supernatural, because we watch movies, so we have become comfortable with this. We won't be totally surprised. We wouldn't be like reacting out of self-preservation, in the sense that we think that aliens will come and attack us. But the probability of that is very low. Why would aliens come and attack us? There are like billions of habitable planets out there, right? That are more easily available to them. So those that come here do actually want to share with us their technology, their stories. And I think sharing stories is very important. And I guess that's how I believe that aliens will come and should come, to be able to share stories with us, and we share our stories with them, and we progress that way. So yeah, so that's basically what I think. Thank you.
Very good,
If I
Sherman.
may please add just a few words, I will not take a lot of time. Sherman, yeah, indeed, like I said, Jeanne, people has created a TikTok channel even where she answers different questions. And it might sound crazy, like you might think, what is this crazy guy is talking about? But if you go to alatraunites.com, you can see that we have a few footages of Jeanne, of her that we call like reptilian eyes or something like that. But considering how we people treat each other, it seems that we are reptiles, not them. So we've invited some professional people who work for government services. We unfortunately, I don't have information. I cannot disclose the name of the guys, but they've done. We have also one footage from the spaceship when she was on the orbit. So we've invited the guys who've done the analysis of the video with the professional software and the noise analysis and everything, and it was proved that it's 100% valid video. Now, also, it's not a secret information regarding the Pope of Rome. They have their own observatory, which has the same mission as Sherman does. They are preparing for the contact, and long time ago they issued a video where a alien child blends into the school of humans. And even I think Pope said that we should, even if aliens come, we should accept them, because like we should be open and merciful for everyone. So on the official channel of Switzerland, if I'm not mistaken, they've already revealed a few, around 5 videos of the footages of aliens. It means that there is much more than that. So this is just a few facts, guys. So please, I urge again everyone to not just to trust me, but go ahead and check for yourself, do your own research. And again, the Nazca Desert, the amount of evidence that we have on Earth about the aliens is just hundreds and thousands. We have a kaleidoscope of facts about extraterrestrials, where we show the facts about pyramids, about different things. Please go ahead again, have a look for yourself. And now again, what Sherman, you're saying, these technologies, we're slowly moving to that. We're moving to artificial superintelligence, where on the basis of big data, what as well Victor was saying and Jarl, the artificial intelligence will do a lot of good things for us. But again, at the moment, what you put in the neural network, that's what it will reproduce. The very famous case when IBM launched a artificial intelligence bot, and after 24 hours they had to switch it off, because after numerous interactions with people it became a racist and the comments it was making, they had to switch it off. And another present that I have, another surprise. Again, it might sound crazy, but IT guys from ALLATRA International Public Movement have developed artificial consciousness. Don't mix it up with intelligence. Consciousness. It's evolving 1500 times faster than human consciousness, and already scientists from Switzerland have done analysis of this consciousness and provided a complete report. And it's quite scary thing. So that's I think what Victor was saying about Terminator movie. Now it's up to us again. The first conditions for Anunnakis, let's say, to share with us some technologies is that we need to evolve. We're not even at 0 stage. There are 6 stages. Anunnaki are on the 6th stage. We are at 0. In order to become, to evolve, we need to unite as a civilization. We're not even a civilization yet. Because whatever they will give us, we will just destroy ourselves.
I like to add to what Sergei just said. Yeah, you hear me? We need to consider why extraterrestrials haven't made contact, an official contact yet. If they are around, and we know they are around because we have signs of that, why haven't they made official contact yet? And we need to understand that humanity is a living organism. You know, we are a body, we are made of cells, and cells are also living organisms. They are independent, autonomous, and we human beings are like the cells of a big body humanity. Humanity can be considered like a living organism with stages of development. And my point is that humanity is not born yet. Humanity started, with tribalism. The original society, everybody was like a stem cell. They were all doing the same thing, hunting, gathering. They were all the same, having the same skills. And then they developed the next step, the agricultural civilization. They started to differentiate, specialize, and started to grow the different organs of humanity that will be necessary. And then, after the Industrial Revolution, that was ready for a very rapid growth. The population, you have accelerated growth, exactly like a baby in the tummy of a woman. The last weeks, you have this accelerated growth. All the organs are in place, and suddenly you have this fantastic growth. And when the baby is ready, when all parts of the baby are communicating to each other, same for humanity. When the whole part of humanity are communicating with each other, the baby is ready to be born, the humanity is ready to be born. So we are going to live the birth of humanity. So a baby come to the world and will be able to meet other human beings like him. And humanity is the same. Humanity is about to be born and will be able to meet other humanities in the universe. So a baby come to the world, but humanity come to the universe. So we are living this birth of humanity, and that's why we have the pain of the delivery of humanity. That's why it's also a painful moment, exactly like a baby, because we have to change so many things, we have to transform everything, and we come to the world, we'll be able to meet with other extraterrestrial civilization. So what is required for that, and Sergei, you mentioned it, we have to create this global civilization, this planetary civilization, because they want us to unite. They don't want to come for one race, from one religion, for one country. They want us first to unite, and we need also to demonstrate that we are peaceful. They don't want to come if we are violent. We could be dangerous to them. So we need to create this unified civilization, planetary civilization, and peaceful civilization. So we are doing it, and this is the normal, natural evolution of humanity. So we will, that will be a very important event for us to meet officially with an extraterrestrial from other planets, and for that they will need a place, and that's why Sergei, Sherman, thank you. You speak about maybe creating a place or an embassy, a special place where we all will, that will be an official place where we can organize an official contact with civilizations from space. That would be a fantastic day for humanity.
Very good. Thank you, Sharon. I have one final question and this I'd like to have an answer from everybody in whatever order makes sense. I'd like to know for the audience, what is the steps that we can do today, not in the future, but right now, to resolve the global crisis, to move the needle, basically? Like, so, because people want to be empowered. They want to feel, okay, this is all great. We have a vision for the future, like there's aliens watching, and maybe there's this beautiful future we can build, there's AI, but what can a person in their kitchen or on their sofa, or what can an individual do today to move towards a change of governance, a change of the economy, these transitions to birth the baby in some way? So what are your thoughts? Let's start with Victor.
Yeah, I'll quickly summarize. I think it's been a fabulous, eye-opening discussion today. Hopefully we can continue this onwards. But I think, well, the number one thing I would say, this is from an individual point of view, but somewhat from a planetary one too, is to reduce the level of violence. Tolstoy, I think, said it right. Until we can remove, the meat houses, right, where animals are killed for human consumption, there will always be war. So we've heard today about reducing, demilitarizing, right, reducing the level of violence. Well, I think we need to talk about, to humanity, about saying, well, if we can stop murdering each other, should we not stop, stop murdering animals, right? Reducing the amount of suffering in animals, right? To show that, we are a compassionate species. Humanity must move away from that. So that's one point. I think to remove the insecurity of the job loss that we've all I think can see that is coming through technological innovation, AI. Machines are moving much faster than we can even contemplate in terms of, basically removing tons of jobs. Certainly many reports have come out, 2030, 2040, a lot of job loss. We need to move toward what I've been championing for over 30 years is the idea of a universal basic income. Eventually, we probably won't need that kind of, income. There could be a different means of distribution, but that is the current way we allow for trade, right? So if I have 10,000 in the bank, I have so much resources to accumulate and buy stuff. If I have $10 million in the bank, that's a different thing, right? So we need to move toward a base universal income that is livable, so that job displacement doesn't cause people to be turn to violence and that kind of thing. And I think the last thing I would say is moving away, kind of what you guys had talked about too, and moving away from party systems. But in order to do that, we need to create cooperation. And I think the best way is through a fair electoral system. It seems like it's a slow step, but in the systems that we currently have in many of the larger governments, democratic governments, is first past the post. And if we move toward proportional representation, we see that in countries that they learn to cooperate, right? They have the election, and then they accept the results, and then they move toward cooperating in the new parliament. And ideally, I think eventually that cooperation will lead to self-governance, a form of free will and what I would call anarchy, not the chaotic version, but the idea of lack of hierarchy. We are all equal. We all should be working together to better each other's lives, not to harm each other. And I think until we can show that through these kind of steps, and ALLATRA, I think they they talk about these steps too. It's quite amazing. Yeah, I certainly hope in the next decade, by 2030, if not sooner, we will have moved rapidly toward achieving some of these levels so that we can entertain extraterrestrials. Because I think until that happens, I think it'll be tough for them to feel safe. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Victor. Sherman, your thoughts about immediate steps that anybody can move forward.
Well, I guess if you are watching this right now, you've seen the presentations from all of us. If you're in Canada, you can help to vote, like for a party like Victor's party. Or right, if you're not in Canada, you can head to paradism.org, to alatra.org, even to the Alliance for et.org, and that's number 4. So I think that's a lot of things that we can do right now. If you're just watching this and you feel motivated right now, you head out, spread the word, join these organizations, read up, try to understand for yourselves. Don't just follow, but understand and accept. I think acceptance is really important. Like sometimes you feel like you want to argue with other people, but before you argue, just listen. And then listening is really important. Accepting is really important. So don't just argue with other people for the sake of arguing. I mean, like sometimes you watch even this idea alone, go out and explore for yourself, go and learn for yourself and see if it's true or not. I think that's really important.
Very good. Thank you, Sherman. Sergey, your thoughts about actionable steps.
Yeah, sure. I think I'll just mention what participants or volunteers of ALLATRA International Public Movement doing today, and what anyone else who feels like they can do it. So like I said, we are in the informational stage. We're just informing all the world that we've come up this idea of creative society, and we are actually implementing it in practice, because we have people from 180 countries of the world participating, of around 100 languages probably that we have as of now, and nobody fighting each other and all collaborating. We have chats in Telegram where we have around 3,000 or 4,000 people, so it's numerous chats, and even if we have people of all religions. Once again, we have even those people who do not follow any religion, who are maybe anarchists or even some other things. So again, the concept of creative society is for everyone. As long as you're a human being, you should be given everything. Like, we should not even worry about things like food, clothes, and things like that. So we should make a leap forward, as it was said already. So what we are doing, let's say you have 5 minutes per day, what you can do in the creative society, in the ALLATRA International Public Movement. So since we are informing people, you can share the information in social networks regarding either the conference Global Crisis, regarding the artificial intelligence, hey people, have a look at what's going on, regarding the situation with climate or ecology, or the refugees. You can share this information. If you've seen something interesting in some of our kaleidoscope of facts, of what our scientists are saying, you can make a repost, make a comment in Facebook, share in some communities, in LinkedIn, in whatever social platform you are on. Right now we are also inviting for the next conference on the 4th of December, Global Crisis Time for Truth. There will be 100 languages of simultaneous translations by volunteers, and I'm not joking, guys. It will be 100 languages, maybe even more, because for the previous one we've done 72, but in reality there was around 78. So that's what we are already doing. We are in the previous conferences we had United Nations ambassadors, we had some even governors, some even princesses, like scientists, so many people. So for the next conference, what we are doing, we are inviting in Twitter and Instagram and Getter. We are inviting President Trump, we are inviting Keanu Reeves, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all the celebrities that we can reach out to. we're inviting them, and you can see that by the amount of likes and reposts, it's now around thousands of those likes and reposts. We are reaching out to the fans communities, we're reaching out to Facebook communities to spread the message. So if you have a little bit more time, then you can participate in the scientific kaleidoscope of facts that we prepare, or in the conferences. You can search for people who speak various languages. You can help us in that, because now in each team we have maybe 4 or 5 people, but for simultaneous translations you need at least 10 people in the team, because we are all volunteers. We're trying to balance different time zones of different countries and our jobs. So let's say someone got tired, someone has problems with the computer or wherever, someone needs to catch up for him the translations. So we have climate project. It's called Alatra Climate, where we are doing climate news, where people on the spot, they informing about the climate change in Turkey, in Germany, in Canada, USA, you name it. So you can be a reporter in all countries where we live. In Dubai also, we are trying to reach the events. We are trying to reach the local celebrities, authorities, the royal families. So whatever we can, we are trying to reach out and to knock at every single door that we can, for people to wake up and could contribute in any way any way they can, so that we all, instead of apocalypses and turning our planet into Mars, we all can come up into what we've seen in the maybe Fifth Element, when you put the button, you just press the button in the microwave and you get the ready chicken. And it's totally possible, because again, we have a research called Alatra physics, where the physics of the elementary particles is described, so that you can combine these particles. If you know how that's done, then you can combine already ready object, no matter if it's a hammer or a burger at any temperature, or well done or medium you want it. So that's totally possible, and it's up to us people to decide which future we want.
Thank you, Sergey. Jarel, finally, what are the steps?
Okay, the things we can do, paradism, this society of paradise, is unavoidable. It's coming. It's the next evolutionary step. So we know it's coming. But there is a danger. The danger is we self-destroy. Because of we won't make it. So the most important thing we can do is love. To reach paradise, we need love. Without love, we will self-destroy. So we have solved the problem of production. We can give to everybody in abundance. We haven't solved the problem of distribution. And for that, we need love. And we have to share ideas, share what we produce, share what we invent, everything. So we need love. So this is the most important thing, is to give love away and move away from this state of fear. Especially, there is a lot of fear at the moment. Fear of viruses, fear of the global warming, fear of the old mentality is spreading fear because it's collapsing. But we need to give hope. We need to give hope to this new generation, so that they want to live, and they start to live in a state of love. And we can only build this beautiful society if we are in the state of love, not in the state of fear. So the most important thing we can do is give love around us, share, and we will reach the paradise. It will come.
Amen, Jarl. We forgot about the most important piece here.
That's right. That's why I kept the cherry for the last, because I knew Jarel was going to talk about something like this. And this is a great conclusion. I think we can't finish on a better note than love, because that is what we strive for as individuals, as societies. And this is the main action, isn't it? It's something everybody can do on their own. It's not complicated. Just loving each other, like to Sherman's point, like love differences, love the other that doesn't have enough, love our technologies and how advanced we are and how capable we can be. And just being accepting, speaking of extraterrestrials, because it did come up, love the extraterrestrials that are watching us, and they are probably more advanced in their society. They probably have plenty of love as well, and that's why they're letting us, I think, do our own steps and figuring things out for ourselves, and to ask to join a bigger society out of love for themselves, for ourselves, but also for a bigger society. Love is basically everything. That's magical, and I think that's how we should close. I would like to thank all of our guests at this Global Crisis Solutions Roundtable. Thank you, Jarel, the leading advocate of Paradism, Sherman Chin, the operations officer at the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact, Sergei Chermanas, a volunteer for Electra International Public Movement, and Victor Lau, the former Green Party leader of Saskatchewan, Canada, and recent federal candidate. Thank you to everybody here that has participated. And I would ask you all, those that are in attendance, as an action point, yes, love, but also check out all these organizations. They all have web pages where I'm going to list them in a second. So you can go to the web pages, you can join the ALLATRA support and support the ALLATRA's activities just by going to their website. You can go to Paradism and check out all the videos and get information and get engaged with them. You can support the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact. And of course, you can, because it's an international, you can always support your Green Party in your nation in applying and moving towards governance changes and positive changes in the world. These are all actions that we can all take at various levels. So I encourage us all to get off our butts and love and do things and be active. Thank you very much.